She left for her date. I left the country. I didn't pack properly. Didn't even bring a jacket. Just stuffed some clothes in a backpack and drove to the airport in silence. I didn't book a hotel or think about what I'd do when I landed. I just knew I couldn't breathe in that house anymore. Every room smelled like her perfume, and every time she opened her mouth lately, it was like listening to someone who'd rehearsed her lines with someone else. I wasn't stupid. I had been pretending not to know. 3 weeks before I left, Emily started doing this thing where she'd disappear into the bathroom with her phone and leave the shower running. Then she'd come out 20 minutes later with dry hair and a fake yawn. She stopped asking me how my day was. She smiled too quickly. She stopped folding my laundry and started accidentally leaving her own lingerie in plain sight, new pieces I hadn't seen before. And I still tried. God, I still tried. I planned a weekend trip to Estes Park. She said she had a migraine. I cooked her favorite pasta one night, she picked at it and said she wasn't hungry, then snuck downstairs at midnight to microwave something else. I asked her to watch a movie with me. She scrolled on her phone the whole time. I don't think she even looked at the screen once. But that night, the night everything cracked open, she stood in the mirror wearing a black dress with a slit up the side, the kind of thing she hadn't worn for me in years. Her hair curled, lips painted. When I asked what the occasion was, she said it was just a casual night out with the girls. Then she looked right through me, like I was the ghost haunting her perfect little eyes. She left around 8:30. At 8:35, I called the airline. I booked a seat on the first flight I could find out of the country. Didn't care where. Ended up with a red-eye to Lisbon. Why Portugal? No idea. Maybe because it sounded far enough away to matter. Maybe because she wouldn't think to look for me there. On the flight, I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I didn't sleep either. I just kept thinking about all the things she used to say that don't mean anything now. I'll never lie to you. You're the only man I've ever really loved. I'd rather die than hurt you. I bet she said the same things to him. Or maybe she skipped all that and went straight to whatever inside joke they now share, the one she hides in that locked folder on her phone. The one she looks at and giggles to herself like a damn teenager. By the time the plane landed, I knew I wasn't going back. Not until I figured out what part of me let this happen. Not until I faced the truth. My wife was cheating on me, and she didn't even care if I found out. The hotel room in Lisbon had a window that looked over some alley where laundry fluttered on old wires and a black cat wandered like it owned the world. It was quiet. No sirens. No small talk. No Emily. I sat on the edge of the bed with my backpack still zipped, just listening to the blood in my ears. The pressure of silence. The kind of quiet that makes you realize how loud your life has been until now. I didn't check my phone until the sun went down. 49 notifications. Missed calls. Voicemails. Texts. Her tone changed with each message. First casual. Then confused. Then panicked. Hey babe, where are you? Are you okay? Can you please answer me? I don't know what's going on. Please don't do anything stupid. I didn't answer. I read them all though. Every fake word. Every half-truth. Every trap of a sentence meant to reel me back in. She had no idea I'd seen the photo. No clue I knew what she was doing. She thought I just snapped? Vanished? She even called my mom. My sister. Said she was worried about me. Said I'd been acting strange. That was rich coming from a woman who once forgot our anniversary and then claimed she'd planned a surprise for the following week. Nothing ever came. I lay back on that stiff hotel bed and stared at the ceiling, trying to remember when I stopped being her husband and started being an obstacle. When my name in her phone stopped meaning comfort and started meaning guilt. When she began choosing someone else with her eyes closed and her mouth full of lies. And the worst part? I kept trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. I replayed every argument, every missed moment, every boring Tuesday night where maybe I should have kissed her longer or looked at her harder or asked one more question. I told myself this was my fault, that if I'd been more exciting, more confident, more something, she wouldn't have gone looking for someone else. But deep down I knew better. I gave her everything. My time. My loyalty. My stupid, undeserved trust. And she used all of it as a shield while she snuck around behind my back with some guy who probably still doesn't know I exist. I stood up, paced the room, opened the window and let the cold air hit my face. I wasn't angry yet. That would come later. Right now, I was just tired. Tired of being lied to. Tired of loving someone who clearly thought I was a fool. Tired of feeling like I was the one who needed to fix what she broke. Tomorrow, I'd listen to her voicemails. And I'd make a decision. But not tonight. Tonight, I let go of the version of her I used to love. I didn't plan to call her. I didn't plan to do anything, actually. But the longer I sat with those voicemails, the more they rotted in my chest. Like mold. It was the fifth one that finally pushed me. The one where her voice cracked, not from sadness, but from frustration. If you're trying to punish me, it's not going to work. Just come home and stop being dramatic. She said it like I'd lost my mind. Like I was the one who'd violated something sacred. I guess in her head, the only betrayal was me walking out the door without permission. So I called her. From a payphone. Yeah, they still exist here. She picked up on the first ring. Oh my God. Where the hell are you? Doesn't matter. Are you safe? What are you doing? You can't just disappear like that. I was going insane. I didn't answer. I let the silence press down. Then I asked, "Who's the guy in the photo?" The line went still. "What photo?" she said too fast. "You know which one." More silence. Then, "Are you seriously checking up on me like some jealous?" "Who is he?" "You went through my phone?" "That's a complete violation." "I can't believe you. You left it unlocked. And you left that dress on the floor. You're not careful, Emily. You're just lazy." The sound that came next wasn't crying. It was anger. Sharp, wild anger. She didn't even try to deny it. Didn't beg. Didn't say it wasn't what it looked like. She just exploded. "You've been impossible to live with. You're always quiet, always watching me like I'm under surveillance. You stopped being fun years ago. All you do is come home, eat, and sleep. You're like a roommate with a bad attitude." A roommate. That was the word she chose. After 7 years of marriage. After every time I held her hand in the dark when she cried over her mom's illness. After I paid for her grad school and helped her build a career. I was a roommate. "I gave you everything," I said quietly. "And I didn't ask you to." That was the moment I knew there was no fixing it. Her voice cracked again. But not from regret. From the thrill of finally saying what she'd been thinking for a long time. "I met someone who makes me feel alive. That's not a crime." "No," I said. "But doing it behind my back is." The call ended. I didn't hang up. She did. I stood there under that cracked payphone booth, listening to the dial tone. And for the first time since I left, I felt something shift. Not grief. Not rage. Clarity. She was never going to say sorry. She was never going to see what she did as betrayal. In her head, I was the villain for leaving. Not her for lying. So be it. Next, I'd have to tell our families. Then a lawyer. The walk back to the hotel from the payphone felt longer than it should have. Lisbon was still buzzing, people sitting outside cafes, music bleeding through cracked windows, couples laughing over drinks. I was somewhere else entirely. Every sound bounced off me like I wasn't there. When I got back to the room, I stared at my reflection for a long time. I looked older than I remembered. Tired in a way sleep wouldn't fix. I hadn't shaved since I landed. My eyes were sunken, jaw tight. I didn't recognize the man in the mirror. But I also didn't pity him. Not anymore. That call had done something to me. Emily's voice. The edge. The venom. The total lack of shame. It stripped the last piece of denial from me. She wasn't confused. She wasn't hurting. She was done. And worse? She'd been done long before she ever bothered to tell me. I was just the last one to get the memo. She wanted me to come back and pretend this was a communication issue. Something we could fix with a few therapy sessions and a half-hearted apology. But I knew better now. She didn't miss me. She missed control. She missed the convenience of having a husband who covered the bills while she chased someone else in secret. I didn't want revenge. I wanted out. That night, I wrote 2 emails. One to my sister, Lauren. Subject: "You were right." And one to a divorce attorney I found through a friend back in Denver. Subject: "Requesting consultation. Infidelity grounds." No dramatic language. No emotional poetry. Just facts. She cheated. She lied. I left. I was ready to end it. Around 3 a.m., I finally opened Instagram. something I hadn't dared to touch since leaving. Her profile was still public. She'd posted a photo the night I left. A glass of wine, a candlelit table, and a caption that read, "Sometimes you have to choose yourself, Blackheart." And the comments, "You deserve happiness, M. So proud of you for living your truth. Girl, that glow is everything." I stared at those words and felt like vomiting. They didn't know. Of course they didn't. She hadn't told anyone the truth. She'd rewritten the story, painted herself as the hero, the survivor, the poor woman finding joy after a difficult marriage. There was no mention of me. Not one. She hadn't just moved on. She'd erased me. And that's when I realized something. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a burial. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She was trying to replace me. Quietly, cleanly, as if I never existed at all. So I did the only thing left to do. I started writing everything down. Every lie, every moment, every shift in her behavior. Not for revenge. Not to post online. But so I could remember it clearly, truthfully, when she tried to spin it all later. When she'd inevitably say, "It wasn't like that," because it was like that. And I was done letting her pretend otherwise. There's a strange calm that comes after the emotional storm. Not peace, not clarity, just a numb, slow-moving silence where things stop screaming and start settling. That's where I found myself the next morning. I sat at a corner cafe, staring into a bitter espresso, watching a young couple argue in Portuguese. Even without knowing the language, I could tell they cared. That's the irony. Arguments mean you still want to be understood. Emily hadn't argued. She'd exited. I checked my email. The lawyer replied. She was direct and efficient. Told me what documents to collect, what the process looked like, what kind of timeline I was looking at. She asked gently if there were any children involved. No kids. We talked about it. A lot. She said she wasn't ready. Said she needed more time to grow her career. Said she couldn't imagine bringing a child into a world until she was fully self-actualized. I respected that, supported it, even defended her when my parents started dropping those passive-aggressive grandkid comments. Now I wonder if she was just biding time, waiting to see how long I'd let her lie to my face. Later that day, I walked into a bookstore off a side street. It smelled like dust and coffee, the kind of place where people whisper even when they're alone. I picked up a notebook, real paper, real pen. I started writing, not typing, writing, not a journal, not a letter. A timeline. August, new gym membership. September, started hiding phone. October, business trip to Chicago, came back distant. November, girls' night became a weekly ritual. December, new lingerie. No explanations. January, photo in the black dress. The man. February, confrontation. Her lies. My escape. I didn't write this to punish her. I wrote it so I could remember that I wasn't crazy. Because that's what these people do, people like her. They gaslight you. They rewrite reality until you start doubting your own memory. She used to say things like, "That's not how it happened," or "You're being too sensitive," or the worst one, "You're imagining things." But this notebook? It doesn't lie. It doesn't twist. It's mine. That night, I got a call from Rachel, Emily's sister. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I should. "Hey," she said quietly. "I'm not trying to get in the middle of this, but I thought you should know. Emily's telling people you had a breakdown, that you went off the grid because of stress." I swallowed hard. She said what? She told Mom and Dad you were in therapy and needed space to deal with your mental health. That she's supporting you through it. I laughed. Couldn't help it. The bitterness in it was nuclear. "She's rewriting the whole story," I muttered. "Yeah," Rachel whispered. "But I know the truth. I've seen how she acts. I've seen the texts. You're not crazy, Matt." "Matt. That's me, by the way. She's not going to get away with this. Not anymore." Rachel's call stayed with me like a splinter I couldn't dig out. Not because it hurt, not anymore, but because it confirmed what I'd already begun to suspect. Emily wasn't just moving on. She was constructing something. A narrative. A safety net. A version of reality where she could slip out clean, untouched, untarnished. She wasn't going to be the woman who cheated. She was going to be the martyr married to a broken man who checked out emotionally, who needed space, who wasn't present. The one who cracked under pressure while she, poor thing, carried the weight of it all. No, she wasn't. I spent that evening on my laptop with a slow Wi-Fi signal and a fire in my chest. I logged into our shared cloud account. She must have forgotten I still had access. She always said she'd clean it up and never did. And that's when I saw it. A synced backup folder. Titled, Trips. There were 24 images I hadn't taken. Beach shots. Hotel rooms. Mirror selfies. All of her. Most of them with him. One photo hit like a freight train. She was wearing the same black dress from that night. Her arm around his neck, her lips pressed against his cheek. The timestamp matched the night she told me she was out with the girls. I downloaded it all. Every single image. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I replied to her. One message. One line. Still telling people I'm in therapy while you're kissing strangers in hotel mirrors? No response. Then, 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Her name. I didn't answer. She tried again. Then a third time. Then came the text. Why are you doing this? I stared at that message and almost laughed again. Why am I doing this? As if she'd forgotten what she did. As if me showing the truth was somehow worse than her creating a lie. I blocked her. Then I forwarded everything to the lawyer. The photos. The backup logs. The phone records. She called it compelling documentation. Said it would help. Said judges don't always care about infidelity, but the narrative shift, the manipulation, the intentional lying that mattered. Rachel texted again later that night. She's freaking out. She thinks you're going to go public. I typed, then deleted, then typed again. Tell her I'm not interested in revenge. I just want the truth to exist somewhere outside of her mouth. Because that's all I wanted now. No more screaming matches. No court battles soaked in drama. Just the truth, raw and ugly and unmoving, standing on its own. And for once, I wanted her to feel what it was like to have no more control. The next day, I met someone at the hotel bar. Not in the way you think, not romantic, not even flirtatious. Just human. A guy from Dublin, traveling solo, about my age. Name was Liam. We started talking over a shared distaste for the overpriced whiskey and ended up swapping stories about why we both looked like we hadn't slept in days. He was going through a divorce too. His wife had walked out on him after 11 years, no other man involved, just boredom and a yoga instructor's Instagram philosophy about self-love. We talked for hours. Not about the women, not really. We talked about the after, the void, the weird stretch of time where nothing feels real, and your body keeps moving while your brain tries to process the funeral of a life that technically isn't over yet. He said something that stuck with me. She killed the version of me that trusted people. I'm not even mad. I'm just not the same. And I felt that, like a bruise pressed too hard, because that's what this is. It's not just betrayal. It's theft. It's identity robbery. She didn't just break our vows. She rewrote them when I wasn't looking, quietly, efficiently, and left me wondering if I ever knew her at all. Liam left the next morning. He slipped a note under my door. Don't let her turn you into someone you're not. That's how they win. I folded it up and kept it. Back home, things were shifting faster than I expected. My sister Lauren sent me a screenshot of Emily's latest post. A sunset photo, captioned, "New Beginnings." Her hand was in the frame, and so was his. No face, just fingers, intertwined. She wasn't even hiding it anymore. The comments were what you'd expect. Clapping emojis. So happy for you? Messages, the usual echo chamber of curated lies. People love a good redemption story, especially when they don't know who got buried under it. But one comment stood out. It was from Rachel. Just 4 words. Hope he knows everything. No likes, no replies, but I saw it, and I smiled. Because I didn't need to post anything. I didn't need to expose her. She was doing it to herself. And the deeper she dug into this fantasy life with her rebound soulmate, the more obvious the cracks would become. Because people like her, they don't stop. They can't. They need chaos. They need control. And when the high fades, when the new man forgets to compliment her hair or leaves his socks on the floor, she'll do it again. She doesn't know how to stay. She only knows how to escape. Let her run. I'm not chasing anymore. I landed back in Denver 2 weeks later. No one knew I was coming. Not my friends, not Lauren, not even Rachel, though she was the only one I would have trusted to keep it quiet. I didn't want a welcome home. I didn't want hugs or pity or long talks over coffee. I just wanted to walk through my own front door and feel the air change. Smell the dust. Hear the emptiness. And I did. It was like stepping into a life someone else had lived. Same furniture, same throw blanket on the couch, same coffee mug still drying by the sink. But it wasn't mine anymore. It had been hollowed out, repainted in the color of lies. She was gone. Half the closet was empty. Drawers yanked open, some still left half full. Like she packed in a panic. Or maybe not a panic. Maybe it was just laziness again. There was a small pile of things left on the bed. Books, old photos, one of my sweatshirts folded neatly with a note on top. I didn't want to throw these away. Thought you might still want them. Take care of yourself, Matt. No apology. No confession. No closure. Just that damned performative kindness she uses to keep her hands clean. I didn't read the books. I didn't open the box of photos. I stuffed them into a bag and left them in the garage. Maybe someday I'll burn them. Maybe I won't. Doesn't matter. That first night back, I didn't sleep in our bed. I slept on the floor. No pillow. Just a blanket and the cold hardwood beneath me. Not because I was punishing myself, because I needed the discomfort. I needed to feel present. I needed something real to anchor me. In the morning, I changed the locks. Then I went through every room and started stripping out everything she left behind. Perfume bottles. Throw pillows. That cheesy "Love Lives Here" sign she insisted on hanging by the kitchen. It all went into garbage bags. Every trace of her. I cleaned for 6 hours straight. Scrubbed the floors. Vacuumed behind the furniture. Washed every dish, every towel, every surface she might have touched. Not because I'm obsessive. Because that was my ritual. That was mine. That was me reclaiming the space she polluted. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't call her. I just kept cleaning. And by the time the sun went down, the house didn't feel like a memory anymore. Felt like a blank canvas. Quiet. Unfamiliar. But mine. The next day, I went to the courthouse. Filed the papers in person. The woman at the counter didn't ask why. She didn't look surprised. She just stamped the file, handed me a copy, and said, "Good luck." And as I walked out into the bright Colorado sunlight, I realized something. She left for her date. I left the country. And now, finally, I was coming home to myself. 3 days after I filed, I got the message. Not from her. From him. A number I didn't recognize. No name attached. Just a single line. "Hey man, I think we need to talk." I stared at it for a long time. My first instinct was to delete it. Block him, shut it down, keep the line severed and clean. But something stopped me. Curiosity. Maybe. But I think it was something else. I wanted to know what kind of man knew a woman was married and decided that didn't matter. So I replied. "About what?" He wrote back instantly. "I didn't know she was married." And I froze. He didn't know? He didn't know. I told him to call me. I didn't expect him to, but he did 2 minutes later. His name was Blake. 30. Graphic designer. Met her at some networking thing. She told him she was divorced. Said I wasn't in the picture anymore. That we'd been separated for a year but were still untangling logistics. She was always vague. he said. But I figured, divorce stuff is messy. She told him I was unstable, that I had emotional issues, that I'd left her after years of neglect, that she tried to make it work but I shut down. And he believed her. I don't even blame him. That's the terrifying part. She's good. She's so good. She knows exactly how to weaponize sympathy, how to play victim while stabbing you in the back with a smile. I lived with it for years. He got it in weeks. I just wanted you to know, man, Blake said. She lied to both of us. And I'm done. I didn't say much. I thanked him, told him I appreciated the honesty, told him he didn't owe me anything, but that it meant something anyway. Then he asked the question that caught me off guard. Do you think she ever really loved either of us? I didn't answer, because honestly, I don't know. I think she loved the attention, the control, the idea of being desired. But love? No, not in the way it matters, not in the way that stays. When the call ended, I sat there for a long time. Not angry, not bitter, just done. I finally saw her clearly, not as my wife, not as a woman I lost, but as a stranger I once trusted with my entire heart, and who traded it for validation and a few cheap thrills. And now she had nothing. No husband, no boyfriend, just a mirror and a long list of stories that were starting to contradict each other. She built her escape on lies, and it was already starting to collapse. The divorce papers were officially served on a Wednesday morning. I didn't tell her they were coming. I didn't warn her. No final texts. No dramatic announcements. Just a quiet, clinical delivery signed, sealed, unavoidable. Later that day, Rachel called. She lost it, she said. Screamed at Mom. Said you blindsided her. Of course she did. Of course it was my fault again. Rachel didn't sound surprised. She sounded tired. She said she thought you two could still talk things through. That maybe it wasn't really over. I laughed. Not bitterly. Just in disbelief. She's already telling people I'm emotionally unstable and mentally sick. And she thought we could talk things through. She lies to herself more than she lies to anyone else, Rachel said quietly. She can't stand not being the one who walks away. That line hit hard. Because it was true. She needed to be the one in control. She needed to end it on her terms, when it suited her, with a new man already lined up to make the transition seamless. Me leaving first and not coming back when summoned shattered her little performance. She wanted me heartbroken and obedient. Instead, I was free and moving on. Rachel said Emily wasn't eating, was barely leaving her new place. That Blake had blocked her after our call and that she'd been spiraling, posting cryptic stories, black and white quotes about growth and betrayal. The usual soft-core manipulation. She's not going to handle this well, Rachel added. I know, I said. Just be careful. I don't trust her not to twist this. Neither did I. But at this point, it didn't matter anymore. I wasn't defending myself to anyone. I wasn't chasing reputation. I wasn't dragging my life into some public trial. The people who mattered knew the truth. Everyone else could believe what they wanted. I didn't need to win the story. I just needed to end it. So I wrote her one final message. Not for her. For me. You lied. You cheated. You made your choices. And I've made mine. I won't speak to you again, not out of hate, but because I love peace more than I loved the version of you I built in my head. Goodbye. Then I blocked her. Everywhere. No more edits. No more rewrites. Our story was over. And I was finally free. Freedom didn't come with fireworks. It came with a quiet Sunday. I was standing in line at the grocery store holding a basket with eggs, coffee, and a frozen pizza when I realized I hadn't thought about her all morning. Not once. No lingering ache. No invisible hand around my throat. Just a normal day with normal thoughts. And in that moment, that basket felt like a trophy. I went home and started rearranging the living room. Nothing big, just shifting the couch, moving a lamp, tossing out a throw pillow she bought on some overpriced influencer's recommendation. And then I lit a candle I liked. One I picked. Not because it matched the aesthetic she forced on everything, but because it smelled like cedar and made the room feel like mine. I was reclaiming things in pieces. The mail was lighter now. No more joint bills. No cards addressed to Mr. and Mrs. No more wedding invitations from her friends I'd grown to dislike. Even the silence in the house had changed. It didn't echo anymore. It breathed. Later that week, I bumped into an old friend, Derek, a guy I drifted from because Emily never really liked him. She always said he was too intense, which was code for sees through my BS. We had coffee, caught up, laughed about things I'd forgotten mattered to me. He said, "You look different, man. Like you've finally come out of some fog." And I had. Because the truth is, I hadn't just lost a marriage. I'd lost myself. Slowly, over years. Compromising piece after piece. Laughing less. Speaking softer. Apologizing for things I hadn't done. Making myself smaller to avoid waking the storm she always carried just behind her eyes. Yeah? I don't ask permission to breathe anymore. I don't double-check my tone before I speak. I don't rehearse conversations in my head. I don't flinch when my phone buzzes. I just live. And yeah, sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes I catch myself reaching for a memory and then yanking my hand back like it's on fire. But I don't miss her. I miss the man I was before she began dismantling him. That man? He's back. Scarred, sure, but stronger. And every day I do something that reminds me I survived. Not just the betrayal, but the slow erasure of myself that came before it. And now I'm writing the ending of the story the way it should have always been. On my own terms. It's been 6 months. The divorce is finalized. My name is mine again. My bank account, my time, my space, all mine. The house doesn't smell like her perfume anymore. I replaced the sheets, repainted the office, gutted the bathroom. Every inch of this place is a middle finger to the past and a handshake to the future. I saw her once. By accident. She was across the street outside some boutique downtown, holding her phone, laughing. Same hair, same walk, same fake laugh she used to turn on at dinner parties. I stood still and watched her for 10 seconds. That was all I needed. She didn't see me. But if she had, I don't think she would have recognized me. Because I wasn't him anymore, not the man she manipulated, gaslit, lied to, deconstructed piece by piece until I became a shell she could wear like armor while she chased attention from strangers. That man is gone. And I didn't just survive her. I outgrew her. You see, betrayal doesn't just end a relationship. It exposes everything. All the fault lines you tried to ignore, all the compromises you made in the name of love, all the ways you shrank to keep the peace. It burns away illusion, and in the ashes, if you're lucky, you find something better. Clarity. She wasn't a mistake. She was a mirror. One that showed me what I would never tolerate again, what I truly valued, who I was before I let someone rewrite me into something smaller, quieter, more convenient. And now, I laugh again. I sleep through the night. I walk into my own home and exhale. I've reconnected with old friends. I've started running. I'm learning how to cook something other than spaghetti and eggs. I even booked a trip to Norway next spring. No escape this time, just adventure. So here's my advice, for whoever needs to hear it. If you're sitting in that silence, wondering if your gut is right, if the lies are real, if the person you love is already halfway out the door, listen to yourself. You're not crazy. You're not broken. And you sure as hell are not to blame for someone else's betrayal. Pack your things. Change the locks. Rewrite your story. And when they ask what happened, just say this: she left for her date. I left the country. She got a new man. I got my life back.